Okay. All right. So I'll briefly go through the documentation of where you can find how to install the tools. Okay, that's great, Elias. How you can install the tools and then we can touch on on the concept we want to cover today. So I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so yesterday I sent the link to those who don't have it and would like to actually deploy the tools. This is the Internet Computer website. So you come here on develop, and then you come here on developer docs, developer documentation. Then you come on build, and then installing tools. All right. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can use Gitpod or GitHub code spaces. Like if for some reason you actually have some real difficulties to actually install the tools on your local machine, this can be like your last resort to use Gitpod or GitHub code spaces, right? But that is if you really have some real challenges installing the tools, because this will get into the hackathon. So it's good that you have all your tools running on your local machine. That will be the best. So try to first install the tools on your local machine, and then if everything really fails to work, you can resort to Gitpod and GitHub code spaces. So to those who say we have Linux or Mac, if you go to this documentation, I will send it once again. If you go to this documentation, you can see here, you will need to install this. And let's see. So you need Node.js, like the latest version, and then you need the Internet Computer CDK. So you install the Internet Computer CDK with this command, right? And then for Windows users, I also use Windows on my desktop. I would advise, so you can use Docker. If you're familiar with Docker, go ahead and use Docker. But if you don't know what Docker is, I feel like it can be a bit challenging. That WSL will make your life much easier. So if you're familiar with Docker, you can use Docker and follow these instructions. But what would be advisable is to go with WSL. So this is where I said, like, you can follow these instructions, like WSL installation. If you come to this Microsoft website, you can see that it's actually easy to install WSL. You can just run this command. And if you face challenges like it's still not working, it's still not doing, try to find a YouTube video. I will send a YouTube video I kind of recommend to follow for you to know how to download WSL, but it's not difficult really. You can just try to find a YouTube video, and then if you continue having challenges, send messages in the group, in the Telegram group. It will also help others who are facing the same challenge. And even in the group, if you check in the Mzansi Web3 Telegram channel, there is a code here. You can actually see some of the previous problems other people were having and posting there as well. So do that, play around with this, try to follow these simple instructions. If it doesn't work, find a YouTube tutorial to guide you and install WSL. But for the rest of this session, maybe you can just watch and see, and then maybe watch, and then if you can't follow through with what I'll be doing, you can then maybe later on watch the video when we upload it on YouTube and then go through it over again. So that's really about it. So you install WSL first, and then after you installing WSL, you can then go ahead and install the IC/CDK. So this IC/CDK is like the one that will help you like create, actually develop your canisters, or create the project, the canister project, as I will show you in a moment, and it will allow you to deploy it locally on your machine and to run and to deploy it on the live network, right? So we will have a look at all of that again today. So yeah, just to wrap it up again, so we're saying Linux and Mac OS users, just follow this guide, install this, and make sure you have latest Node version. And then for Windows, install WSL. And then after installing WSL, you are now on the same page with Mac or Linux users. And then you can now go ahead and install the ICCDK. So now, assuming you have it installed, you can now, the next step is now to actually start creating a project, creating a hello world project, and to actually start to try to write some Motoko code and create some canister magic you would like to create. So before we get into like to actually try to create a project, I would just like to do a brief overview of what's actually possible to create on the internet computer, because we are talking about this, we're talking about the smart contracts, we're talking about canisters, and it might be somewhat difficult for you to conceptualize like what exactly is possible to build. We're talking about this application and whatnot. So on this internet computer website, right? If you come to, where is it? ICP ecosystem. Yes, explore the dApps. So here you can see like all the most of the applications that are.
I can't see your screen.
Okay. Anyone else not seeing my screen? How many people are not seeing my screen? Can you raise your hands, please? I tried the network. Or you all can't see my screen. Hmm. Okay. I'll stop
I can
sharing.
see it now.
I'll stop sharing and then I'll share again. Let's go ahead, Kelvin. Yeah, you can unmute your mic and speak, Kelvin.
Oh, I
You
think it's
can
okay. I wanted to say that I couldn't see the screen, but I can see it now.
you can see it now. Okay, that's awesome. So
I still can't see it myself. I don't know whether it's my challenge or what, but I still can't see your screen.
I think might be your network. Well, I'm sure everyone else can see it, right? Mm. Can you try maybe to refresh or maybe to leave and like to exit the meeting and come back again? Maybe you should be able to see.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So these are the applications in the in the ecosystem, right? We have this open chat. It's like a fully decentralized real-time messaging service. So it's like WhatsApp, but running on the blockchain, right? On the internet computer. Open chat. This is the app. You can launch the application. Mhm. Okay, it's taking time to load. I think my internet is not strong at the moment. But anyway, feel free to come to this ecosystem page and you can see all these projects that are being created on the internet computer with some Ethereum based projects, Bitcoin, DeFi, Chain Fusion, Internet Identity, some enterprise projects, social fi, and whatever, gaming, metaverse, AI, you name it, right? So this is all what is possible to build on the internet computer. So yeah, so now let's say you managed to install all your tools. Now you want to get started. This is the part where it gets interesting. So I'm using Linux on my computer, right? So if I manage to to install the DFX, you can try to test it by like DFX version, and then you should be able to see the DFX version you have. I am using DFX 0.210, right? And if it shows you this, you know you are good to go, right? And then you can to create a project, there are some commands which you need to be familiar with for you to be able to create to use this Internet Computer CDK on your computer, right? So the DFX commands, you can actually like literally just search DFX commands, and yeah, it should be on the top here. Okay, another close example of another good example. This entire website, this entire internet computer website, it's running on the internet computer itself. So there's that. So anyway, this is the this is the documentation for the commands, the DFX commands. So as you start your development journey, you should be able, you should make yourself familiar with these commands so that you won't be stuck if you want to do a lot of stuff in a command line. So basically, this is like a map. We have build, cycles, and a bunch of stuff. So anyway, once we move one step at a time, you can easily you can come to the documentation here and do what I did, and find the model, or just search on the web, and then it should direct you to here. So let's say now you have your DFX installed, and then you want to create a new project. You create a new project by running the command DFX new, and then you give the project a name. So we would like ours to be a hello world. Let's just call it hello. And then you select the backend language you would like to use. So right now, as we were saying, we can use Motoko, Rust, TypeScript, and Python. These are currently the ones that are embedded in the DFX CDK. So we would like to go with Motoko. And then for the front end, what would we like to go with? You can choose this SvelteKit, React, Vue.js, Vanilla JS. If you don't want to use some frameworks, or you don't want any template, or you don't want a front-end canister after altogether. So, and again, just to say this at this point, you can use Next.js, you can use some other frameworks, but they are not limited to these ones. This is just saying currently these are the ones that are like embedded in the CDK, which you can easily use, right? So for the front ends, yeah, I will select React. This is my favorite. And then this part is still not yet functional. You can just press enter, and then it will create a hello project for me. Then it should go like this. Let's give it a few more time as it installs some dependencies. will take its time. So another important thing, okay, we are done. So I will CD into my newly created project. Let me minimize this. So this is my newly created project here. Hello. So I will do CD hello, and then I'm now in hello. And then I can now open it in my IDE. And the one I would recommend is for Motoko and development. Like generally, I see development is VS Code. If you don't have, you can use other IDEs, but like VS Code will be the most favorable one. So I'll open this new project in VS Code. Right. So this is our newly created project, right? Our newly created DFX project. And yeah, we just have a look at some of the basic files that comes by default. So we have the node modules which are installed. As you can see, we have the npm packages here, and the some TypeScript configuration, and the DFX JSON file. So this DFX JSON file is really important because it's when you are deploying your project, as you are going to see in a bit, the CDK will look into this DFX JSON, and then it will know the canisters you have in your project. In this project, we have the backend canister, hello backend, and we have the front end canister, hello front end. So and then you can see they are pointing to where the files are. We're going to looking into that. So DFX will know the canisters you have in your project, and then where to find that code, and then it will deploy that code. So that's what we have in the root directory: the DFX, the package JSON, the README, the git ignore, and then the important stuff inside here is the source. So now we have the backend directory. So this is the backend file, the main.mo, file. So this is where you'll be writing your Motoko code, your backend code, right? So at this point, like you have your VS Code installed, you will need to have to install the VS Code, the Motoko support extension, Motoko. It will help you write your code like this one, this Motoko language support, to help you with the debugging, seeing errors, runtime errors, and what's not. Compile time error, yeah. So that's what we have in the backend. By default, it's just one file, but like for developers, we can imagine as the project grows, you will need to have more files. You definitely add them here, even directories as well. But by default, this is what we have. We just have this simple main.mo file, and this is where you'll be writing your backend code. We will look and how you can actually get started as well. And then we selected that we want a front end. So we have this front end, and we said we want a React front end. So this is a React JS front end. So it's using Vite, it's the bundler. Then here we have the basic React setup. To those who are familiar with React, sure you already know what this is. So anyway, you at the moment you don't have to worry much about the React stuff, the front end stuff. We'll get to that. We'll get to front end integration in the coming days. For now, our main focus will be mainly in the back end here, creating the backend canisters, the Motoko canisters. The front end is important. We will touch it because your application will need a front end eventually. I mean, depending with the service. So just as simple as that, like with that simple command, TFX new hello, we created a project and it came with a backend and a front end in one go. And like, if you're familiar with like Web2 development, you'd have to stress about like, what kind of database am I going to use? How am I going to configure the database? You can even spend hours trying to configure a database and whatnot, but with just a single command, you already have a backend and you don't even need to worry about a database because all your data will actually be stored in this canister here. And you will see how we'll be doing that in the you see how we'll be doing that. How we can actually store our storage in this backend canister without any stress about the database and whatever. So yeah, that's it. We have the front end, we have the back end all in one go, and now we can deploy. So like we want to see now what we have in our project. We can deploy this. We can do TFX deploy. So let me do this. This important step. Yeah. Don't worry about what I'm doing here at the moment. Okay. Right. So if it's your first time, right, and you want to deploy, you will run the command tfx deploy, and you will face this error. An error happens during communication and what's what. So for you to actually deploy your canister locally on your machine, you need to start the local replica, like the local internet computer instance on your machine. We are saying the canisters run on the internet computer, right? So when you deploy live, your canisters will be running on the live internet computer network. But as you are developing locally, the DFX CDK, which we were talking about installing, right? That CDK, it creates a simulation of the internet computer on your local machine, right? which you can use to deploy and test canisters locally before you deploy them live, right? So if you just run GFX deploy, it will not go, it will give you this error. So you need to start your local internet computer per se, or your local replica, right? So you can do DFX start. This is an important command you need to run. Start, and then you do. So there are like a number of ways you can start. You can just do start clean, so that like your canisters, like some configuration that are deployed will be like restarted when you're deploying the canister. So it's highly recommended for you to use the clean flag when you are starting the replica, so that like each time your canisters are being deployed, they are being deployed afresh. They are not like carrying over some previous configurations from the like deployed canisters, right? So you do DFX start clean, and then it runs like this. So now I have the local replica is now running, right? But the problem with this is like, if I accidentally like kill my terminal, right? And then if I want to deploy again, or if I accidentally close the browser, it will stop the running replica. All right. So it will be advisable for you to use the flag background, so that you know like the local replica is running in the background, and then you won't quickly lose your deployed canister as you are testing. For example, if you accidentally close your IDE or your terminal, right? So you do DFX start clean background, and then once the replica is now running, you can now go ahead and deploy DFX deploy. So it's now deploying our canisters. And each canister have a unique identifier that is attached to it, right? As you can see, each canister have a unique identifier, which is like this string here. So if there's this file generated .env, here is where you can see the canister. So we have the hello front end, we have the hello backend, and then they have their associated canister IDs, right? So yeah, we now have them, and then we can see these links. We have the front end, and then we have the back end. So let's open this front end and see what we can get from there. Right, so this is the front end canister, the front end URL for our hello program, and then I can enter my name, hello, and it says hello Enoch. So this whole process happening here, this front end is actually communicating with the back end. As you can see, we're in the back end here. We have this hello.
Sorry, Mr. Enoch, will you kindly zoom in?
Oh, okay. How is it now? How is it now? Should I zoom more?
Yeah, you can zoom in more.
Okay. Now is it okay? Okay. All right. Yes, I was saying this is now like the front end is communicating with this backend, with this grid function in our backend. As you can see in the, we have this function, public query function grid. It's taking a name and it's returning a string of hello and then the name attached to it. So that's what's happening here with this front end. When you click me, it takes the name and then it retains it. So that's how we have, that's the front end. And the back end, we also have this URL to the back end. If we open it, this is called a candid UI. It's automatically generated when you deploy your canister, either locally or on the live network. It's automatically generated by the CDK, by the internet computer CDK, right? So this is useful for testing your backend functions, right? So for now, we just have this grid function, and because as you are deploying, if you're like familiar with basic Web2 development, like you are building an API, because this is basically an API. As you can see, test your API with a visual web interface, right? If you're building a backend, you don't necessarily have like the front end there, right? Backend will usually be like a backend on its own. So you need a way to test the backend on its own. So this is where the candid is helpful at. You can test your backend functions without the need for a front end, right? Because as you can see, I can actually call this function, like I can pass my name, then I can call, then it say hello, my name. So this is a front end that is automatically generated for you to test your backend functions. For you to test your backend functions. So yeah, it will be important. You will, as you will say, you will play around with this a lot. You can also test from the command line as well. Command line, I mean, like here in your terminal. You can do FX. Wait a second. You can actually call your functions again from this terminal. You can do like TFX canister. Canister call, and then you like give the name of the canister. What is the name of our canister? It's hello. And then you give the function name. It's greet. And then you pass in the arguments. to the function. Let's see if this will work. If I don't mess up the syntax. Oh, okay. Oh, it's not hello, it's hello backend. There we go. So that's another way to test again from command line. GFX can say hello backend create, and then I passed in the inputs, and then it returned hello Enoch. So you can see you have all these ways of doing this. You can do through a front end, you can do through Candid, or you can do through the command line. And as you can imagine now, like with this possibility of running in the command line, you can now see like you can have a lot of like some automated way of testing and whatnot, because with this you can create scripts now. You can see you can actually easily create a script and do some functionality and easily test it just here in the command line, right? And it will really improve your developer flow. All right. So okay. Yeah, like that's the basic of Hello World, Hello World program. I don't know if there are questions at this point, things that you are not understanding, things you want to be repeated or explained better. Please feel free to raise your hand and speak. Yes, go ahead, Luxon. Go ahead, Luxon. Unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. So I was asking to say, do we have a record, something recorded for yesterday's lessons and the part maybe today, because I just joined.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Can you
And how can we have access to the record for yesterday's and even today?
we will send the
All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Enoch.
All right.
Okay.
So anyway, your mic was kind of blocking me. But anyway, I was saying yes, we have the recordings. We will send them, like the one for yesterday, we will send it tonight, and the one for today, send it probably tomorrow morning, so that you guys can catch up. Willard, okay, Douglas was next.
Okay, thank you, sir, and good evening to everyone.
Evening.
Yes. So, my question is actually on the installation process.
Okay.
I'm currently running Windows 10, and I wanted to use these tools in a VirtualBox where I'm running Ubuntu. Now, during the installation process, my virtual computer kind of crashed. Now, before I restart the process again, I just wanted to ask whether it's okay to do it in the VirtualBox if it won't crash again, or maybe I should just go ahead and install the WSL in my Windows. I'm running Windows 10. I don't know if installing the WSL is possible.
Okay.
Or maybe I can just reinstall my virtual system and continue from there.
Okay. I think the virtual system will be like too heavy on your computer, like you are doing the virtual system and then you'll be trying to run the CDK. So I just feel like it will be kind of a lot on your machine. If you can do the WSL, I think it might be a better alternative. Virtual machine is good, but it's on its own, it's like heavy on the machine you get. So I think if you can try to do WSL and then so that it can just run on your machine, that would be best. And yes, WSL can be installed on Windows 10 without a problem. It can run on Windows 10 without a problem. So if it's crashing, just try to go for WSL. Try to find a video on YouTube. There's plenty of them, how to install WSL on Windows 10. You'll be good. And Trust, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
With me, I wanted to ask, like, when I was checking the vision for my DFX, it's showing me it's 0.18, and it also advised me to upgrade it because when I was following you, yours I was seeing as if it was 0.21 somewhere there. So, but I was trying to upgrade it there, it is still failing. When I was upgrading using DFX upgrade, it failed. I tried the DFX VM update. It still tried to give me an error.
Okay. Can you please explain what the error is? Like, what is it saying? Also, if possible, if you can briefly share your screen for a moment, if it's okay with you.
All right, let me try to share my screen.
Okay. And Tukia and Francis just hanging there for a moment to get to you. No worries. Yeah, you can keep like your raised hands.
All right, I think someone else can come in a bit as I'm trying to
Okay.
share the screen.
Okay, cool. Tukia, go ahead.
My question is, what the Chinese are like really do, like what the thing all about? Because I really didn't get the explanation properly of the DFX and the future. I don't know if we're learning about the Motoko language. I don't know if Motoko is a language or something else. Like, I'm really confused. So,
I think I heard just bits of what you said. If you can try to type the question, but the part I heard was like, is Motoko a language or something? And also you had sent the message that that's the front end, or what is it? So yes, Motoko is a language. Motoko is a programming language. Let me share my screen. Motoko is a programming language that was designed to Motoko, where is it? Develop. So Motoko is a programming language that is designed specifically for the internet computer to create canisters on the internet computer. Again, Motoko, high-level language designed specifically for the internet computer. So to create some confusion, like in this project I was going through, we have the back end. There's one that is running Motoko. Motoko is a backend language, right? So we have this backend that is running Motoko, and then we have the front end. Currently, this one, if React.js, but it can have any other framework you want. But the project, so when you create a DFX project, you can choose if you want a front end or if you don't want a front end. If you want a front end, you select the front end that you want, right? So as I was creating a project, I said I want a front end, and then I selected which front end I want. So that's why I have this front end, which is React. I selected React. So the project, that's why the project have a back end with a Motoko and a front end with React.js. I don't know if your question has been answered.
Yeah, thank you very much because I was really confused if Motoko is a language or something. So I was like, was that the back end? So I saw that at first that was the back end.
Okay, yes, Motoko is a language, yes, for building like backend canisters. So,
Thank you.
all right, Francis, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Good evening to everyone.
Mhm.
I'm running a Windows 10 operating system. So I would love to find out how to go about when installing these tools that you highlighted.
Okay,
To install WSL.
okay, yeah, so
So what I've done, if it's correct. Yeah.
come again.
I don't know. I've tried to install WSL.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just too sure of what I've done, if it's correct or if
But
now I have to start the project actually.
but you finished installing it.
Yes.
Okay, you can actually run it on your computer right now if you do like. Okay, and then did you move on to try to install?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was storing it, there are some pop-up or commands that were popping up, like installing Ubuntu, is installing WSL.
Okay.
Yes. So
So
when those finished,
mhm.
they tried to click on Ubuntu. Yeah, it took about, there was a pop-up command which was saying installing, and this may take some minutes.
Okay. So
Yes.
I think like a kind of a YouTube tutorial would be best for you so that it can like guide you
Okay.
all the steps of what you need. So try to find a YouTube tutorial like for your Windows 10 how to install so that you can see the whole process, right? So that you won't skip some maybe some important parts of it. But I will after this call I will also send my videos which I kind of recommend for you guys to follow and see how you can install the WSL.
All right. Thank you.
And
Now,
after, yeah.
when we starting project, what should we use? Is it Ubuntu or WSL?
So Windows Substance for Linux, it's like Ubuntu running
Mhm.
on your Windows. So when you already have WSL, you already have the Ubuntu. So you don't have like to separate. They are not like separate things. You will be having two separate things. You
Yes.
it's just one thing. If you install WSL,
Yeah, it's actually one thing. Now, where do we need to do the coding and the like?
okay. So when you have installed it, okay. So let me share my screen on my desktop, and let me share my screen on my desktop and do a quick demo. All right. Mm. Is that trust? Can you? Okay. To look up information. Okay, I'm looking at the arrow on trust screen here. Can you like zoom in your screen?
Hello.
Can you like zoom in your screen? Connection time out. It looks like internet problem. But the DFX version 18 should also work for you.
All right.
Yeah. So I think DFX version should be good. It should like work. But this looks like an internet connection problem. So try again when you have stable internet connection, and but in the meantime, version 18 can also 0.18 can also work for you. So yeah. So anyway,
All right. Thank you.
all right. So back to, was it Francis? Okay. Let me present my screen. Mm, yeah, it's not. This not helping. What should I do here? Okay. Okay, yeah, so I'm just sharing my command line. As you can see, it's just my PowerShell command line. So I have WSL installed already, right? So I can just do WSL. What this will do, it will get me into my Ubuntu system, my Ubuntu Linux system, if I type WSL, right? And also another important command as well, if you want to like when you finish running whatever you are running on WSL, you can kind of shut it down by running the command WSL shut down. Okay, and you need to run it on PowerShell. Shut down. All right. So Yeah, not very important about what we're doing, but it's just an important command to keep in mind if you want to stop WSL. But anyway, you're asking like what you need to do after you have installed WSL. So after you have installed WSL, you can switch to it by just typing this command WSL. And now you are in the WSL command. Or I'm sure there's also like an Ubuntu icon which you can see after you have installed. If you like go to your start menu, you can also use that as well. And then you can choose where you want to create your project, right? So this is like my home directory. I would like to go to desktop. Is there desktop here? Not really. The challenge is like I can't share my whole screen here. It won't be visible. But anyway, I'll just do this. Once you have your WSL, you can now go to that documentation link and install and copy the commands to install the CDK. And then once you have the CDK installed, you can now do you can now do, what is it? DFX new, and then you write in the name of the project. Hello world. Hello world. And then you can see it's now taking me through the process of creating a new project, whether it's a backend or it's a front end or it's whatever. So in short, once you have WSL, the ways you can use it are now either through your command line and then just do WSL and switch to WSL, or you can actually open the Ubuntu icon, the Ubuntu, you can see it if you have installed it, and then you can also use that as well. And I think tomorrow we'll kind of touch on that, on how you can actually navigate through WSL, creating a project, opening it with VS Code, and those kind of stuff. We will touch on that too tomorrow. I will note it down. So I hope you got some kind of an idea from this.
Yeah, I think the idea has been gotten. I think that's where I was just getting stuck when I think everything is done. I've done the installation, and that is where I needed to be helped, just where to start the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you.
All right. And Willard.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. I think most of the challenges that I had, the same challenges that Mr. Francis had, and I've learned something from him. I have also noted down something that you have said. You repeat some of. We are going to go through some of the things that I wanted to ask concerning the connecting or how starting of the program, writing of codes from WSL. I've managed to install this WSL. They're just requesting that I need to restart the laptop for it to start working. So I think after when I restart the laptop after the meeting, then I'll be able to see that. And then I also want to know which are the, is it I don't know the other ID that you mentioned that you're using for coding.
VS
Because
Code.
I see you have used the VSL Visual Code Studio, and then there's another ID that you are using. So I wanted to know this ID so that I can have them installed so that as you'll be presenting tomorrow, I'll be able to follow through.
Okay, so the ID is the VS Code.
Yeah,
VS
VS Code Studio, I have it already. Now there's another ID that you mentioned. Were you coding using the same this one? Is it WSL that you told us to install?
On my Ubuntu.
Maybe the ID you're using for this programming language, the backend programming language, is it called Koboko?
Motoko.
Motoko, yes.
Yeah. I'm using it in Visual Studio Code. So if
Oh,
you have Visual Studio Code already, I think you are good. What you just need is to install the Motoko extension. It will help you. The Motoko language support extension.
okay.
It will help you.
Okay.
It will
Then
help.
I've
Yeah.
also you mentioned something like CDK. I don't know what you were.
Okay, the internet computer CDK. Yeah, so that's this DFX we're talking about, which allows you to create project, deploy a project, and do all the other stuff. So once you have WSL installed, so if you come here on installation, once you have WSL installed, you can now go ahead and install this. Is the command to install the Internet Computer CDK.
Okay.
And also you also need to install Node.js. Node.js. So you can see, like, if you want to know how to install Node.js, if you come to this hello world here, you can see this command here. And you can also like just search on the web, like how to install WSL on Linux. Because once you have WSL, you can now search how to install Node.js on Linux. Like once you have WSL, you basically just have Linux, right? So this command here, and then yeah, you can use like the latest one, npm install 20, and I think that's kind of the latest one. And then yeah, or just go on the Node.js website itself. It should guide you on how to install Node.js.
All right, I'll be able to install them. So DFX and Node.js, I need to install these.
Yes, exactly. You need to install GFX and the Node.js in your WSL.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Any other questions? Our time is a bit over. There was a hand raised. So I guess the question has been answered. Okay, guys. I guess we call it a day. Let's try to get busy with this installation, so that tomorrow we'll be kind of on the same page and write code together. Because tomorrow we'll actually be writing some code. So yeah, that's like the homework for you guys. Try to make sure you have WSL installed, you have the tools installed. If you still don't understand, again, feel free to send a message in the in the in the group, in the Zambia Web3 group, or Mzansi ICP Telegram group as well. pop a question there, and if you need help, we'll help you. So anyway, thank you. Have a good night. Let's meet again tomorrow. Awesome.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Sure.
Meet again tomorrow.
Sure.
Thank you. Good night.